Welcome to another episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and today I'm going to be talking all about getting through Thanksgiving without drinking. Thanksgiving was a major drinking holiday for me, and I will be talking about my Thanksgivings from my drinking past, some of my sober Thanksgivings, and then I'm going to be giving you all the tips and strategies you need so you'll feel successful at this year's celebration. Before we dive into this episode, I want you to know that this is the last time I'll be sharing with you that you can join the Daymakers for just $1. Throughout the month of November, you're able to hop into the Daymakers community for just $1 for 2 weeks so you can see if this community is a good fit for you. If you've been feeling curious about being alcohol-free, or you keep feeling that tug inside your gut that says you're made for something more, then this is for you. This is your moment to step in. The Daymakers is a community where people just like you stop doing this alone. It's where the shame drops, the overwhelm settles, and it's where you finally feel supported by people who get it. You can try it out for 2 weeks for just $1. You'll have access to our group coaching calls, all of the past group coaching calls, so you can soak in a ton of knowledge, our private text message thread where you can connect with other people just like you, and even some of our fun add-ons like our journal that will help you change your mindset around drinking, and our monthly book club where each month we dive into a book that supports our alcohol-free journey. If you want this holiday season to feel different, then this is your invitation to join us before this deal disappears. Just head to nomorewasteddays.co/daymakers or head to the link in the show notes of this episode. All right, let's dive into this episode. So Thanksgiving brings up a lot of feelings for me. I was raised as Thanksgiving being kind of this wholesome time where we all got together with family. We would always get together with my mom's side of the family, which means I got to see all of my cousins. There were so many of us, and we would get to run around and hang out while my mom and my aunts were all in the kitchen busy preparing dinner. After our big family feast, we would always hang out and play games and talk, and it was just such a fun thing. When I left the Midwest and moved to the Pacific Northwest with my sister, it changed a little bit, and me and my sister were the ones celebrating. It was usually a really quiet Thanksgiving with just her and I. We would still cook a feast, and then we would go out on a walk after the meal, and we would just have a good time. Alcohol was a part of me and my sister's celebrations, but it wasn't the main focus. Then we started doing things like Friendsgivings with some of our friends that drank more, and alcohol started to get more into the forefront of this holiday. Fast forward to when I met Ryan, and alcohol became the focus. Now, it's going to sound like I'm blaming Ryan for my drinking, and I'm totally not, but he called Thanksgiving Wine Day. He said, "You have to come over for our family Thanksgiving. We do Wine Day." He said, "All day long, we cook the dinner, me and my brother, and while we're cooking, we have wine. And then we have our feast, and then we have more wine." And I thought, this sounds awesome because I was a drinker. I really liked to drink, so hearing that Thanksgiving could be more than just the dinner, I was all in. So this became my tradition. Thanksgiving was wine day, and me and Ryan grew as a couple, and we started getting more and more wine for wine day. We started adding in champagne. We started adding in mimosas. And it just grew and grew. And most of my Thanksgivings were this really crazy, chaotic memory of drinking all day. There was lots of fun involved, but there was a bunch of cooking. And I remember I always felt kind of like resentful about all of the cooking. And then there were a lot of meals where I sat around the table with the family, and I don't even really remember what we talked about at the dinner, or I would wake up the next day and not even remember the dinner or if I enjoyed it or not. My first sober Thanksgiving happened to be when I was pregnant with my twins. It was a weird thing because everybody kept telling me that the doctor said you could have just 1 glass of wine if you wanted to. And I remember feeling really strong about being alcohol-free. Like, look at me, I'm doing this and it's not a problem to me. It was almost like this sign that alcohol wasn't an issue for me because I was able to quit drinking when I got pregnant. But then people kept reminding me that the doctor said you could have 1 glass of wine a week if you wanted it. And the thing was, I didn't want it because I did not trust myself with that 1 glass of wine. And I would also always think, I don't want 1 glass of wine. I like getting drunk. Why would I have 1 glass of wine? Reluctantly on that Thanksgiving, I did pour a very, very small glass of wine, and I remember just having a few sips and not even really liking the taste. The doctor said that that might happen because of my hormones, but I almost wonder if it's just something that since I hadn't had alcohol in a while, it just actually didn't taste good to me again. Or if it was just something about the idea that I wasn't going to be chasing the buzz, so it didn't interest me. But anyway, that was my first sober Thanksgiving, and it was okay. I was jealous of everybody that was drinking. I was also resentful that I was cooking and pregnant with twins and having to entertain people in my house. My heart just really wasn't in it. And it's hard to say if it's because I was pregnant or if it was because I wasn't drinking. And when I was pregnant, I was definitely not in the mindset of I'm never going to drink again. I was like, okay, for 9 months, I'm not drinking. And then after I have these babies, I'll be nursing. So my drinking won't look the same. But then I plan to get back to drinking. So I really think that's probably why it wasn't a fun Thanksgiving for me. So after the babies were born, I went right back to wine day. Thanksgiving is wine day. It's party time. It was just more of the same. Drinking too much all day long, not really remembering the dinner, waking up with a terrible hangover the next day, saying that we were going to go do Black Friday shopping, but then needing to sleep in because, oh my God, there was no way I could get up and go do that Black Friday shopping. And then finally, Ryan and I stopped drinking. We quit drinking in May of 2019. So by the time we got to Thanksgiving, we had already been through a summer of alcohol-free, which was a challenge, but this was going to be our first Thanksgiving alcohol-free. I can't really remember if we hosted it at our house or at my father-in-law's house, but that doesn't really matter. I do feel like Ryan and I were probably the main chefs of the day, but by that time we had actually made it so we started getting a lot of pre-made things for Thanksgiving because one, I no longer ate meat and I just wasn't interested in cooking the big feast anymore. And then layer on top of that, that I was no longer drinking. I was really wondering if this holiday was actually going to be any fun. But I was actually really surprised because I was able to have a lot more energy for this holiday. Without the morning mimosas starting out the day, I was able to put so much energy into the holiday and be so much more present with my kids and with the rest of my family. So it definitely wasn't the same type of Thanksgiving. There wasn't that same feeling of chaos that used to exist when I was a drinker. I always felt like the memories of Thanksgiving would be this very flashy memories. I couldn't quite put it all together. So it was just like big flashes of this happened, then this happened, then this thing happened. And I didn't have that with my first sober Thanksgiving, of course. But I also didn't party after the dinner. After we ate the dinner, we all kind of hung out, played some games together, and then had dessert and hung out just a little while longer. And then it was time for us to go home. Now, my father-in-law actually just lived one house over from us. So this meant we were just walking home, which when I was a drinker, it was a huge plus because I didn't have to drive when we went to my father-in-law's house. But this year it was just like, okay, we're going to be walking home. I was able to give my kids the proper nighttime routine and put them to bed. And the next day we woke up and my husband and I actually did a ton of online Black Friday shopping. I remember we got almost all of our gifts for our kids purchased the day after Thanksgiving. That is something that never happened for drinking, Sarah. I would go to Black Friday sales, but it was always with this crazy hangover. So I was never focused on oh, this is a present for the kids. My first sober year, I was actually like, okay, here's my list of things we're going to get. Here's the things that I know are Black Friday specials. And we actually just sat down at our computers and busted it out. And then we went to some of the local Black Friday sales that we wanted to go to, but it was just a really relaxed day. And that's what I really can say has been the difference between Thanksgiving as a drinker and Thanksgiving as a non-drinker. Thanksgiving as a drinker was chaos. It was a fun chaos until it wasn't. And then it was just this drinking blackout state chaos. And then it was the chaos of my hangover the next day. And then also since I was a teacher, I felt like, okay, I'm on this little 4-day vacation. I can't just be like, oh, I've got a hangover. I've got to keep drinking and keep it going. So by the time I would go back to work after Thanksgiving break, I would just be kind of a disaster. And with my first Thanksgiving break, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually feel rested and relaxed and ready to go back and teach the 3 more weeks that we have until Christmas break. There was just so much more calm and peacefulness, and I remembered all of it, which was a huge plus. I also look at the pictures from my first sober Thanksgiving, and I just feel that joy and that peace from that day. When I look at pictures from my drinking Thanksgiving pasts, I can see the joy there. I don't want to come off as I was a drinker and everything was miserable. There were still joyful times, and I can see that. But I can also remember the chaos that was there. And it's nice to just not remember that chaos now and just actually remember the peacefulness. These days, I actually look forward to Thanksgiving. I do more cooking again, and it doesn't feel overwhelming to do the cooking. That is something in the first days, like I was like, ooh, I'm going to be not drinking. I don't know if I'm going to want to do all the cooking. And now I actually can. And it's actually just this very calm experience. I'm able to organize the meal and get it all together. Now I cook it with my mom because she lives here. So she's putting together some of it. So is my dad. And then I'm putting together some of it, and my sister is bringing in the appetizers. It's just more organized in my own head of what I need to do, and that makes it feel so much easier. I also just know that I'm not going to ruin any part of the Thanksgiving break with a hangover, and it's going to feel great. So now, how do I get you excited about an alcohol-free Thanksgiving? Because I want you to walk into your alcohol-free holidays and feel like this is going to be great. This is going to be the best thing. So today, I'm going to give you some practical and rarely said tips to help you have an empowered alcohol-free Thanksgiving. I'm going to go beyond the tips that tell you to just bring a mocktail to your Thanksgiving to get through it alcohol-free, and I'm really going to dig in so you feel ready for this alcohol-free Thanksgiving. I have 6 strategies for you today, so let's dive in. Number 1, I want you to identify your break point moment. Did you know that people rarely drink because they love the taste of alcohol? People usually actually drink because there is a moment where the flip is switched for them and they're ready to drink. On Thanksgiving, this might be the stressful hour before the guests arrive. It could be the cooking chaos spike that we experience if we're the person cooking the dinner. It could be seeing a family member that triggers old patterns within you. Or it could be feeling left out once the wine is poured. And it can also be tied to the rituals that once existed within Thanksgiving. For me, every part of my Thanksgiving was tied to drinking. We started out the day with mimosas. We then poured coffee and put liquor in it while we walked to a local donut shop that was always open on Thanksgiving, and we could sip on our coffee that had alcohol in it. So these were moments of celebration for me, and those were actually my breaking point. So mine happened very early in the day. It was the idea that it's a holiday and I deserve this. I work hard all year round, and now I'm about to work really hard on this holiday. So I've earned the right to be a little bit tipsy, aka very drunk, during this Thanksgiving holiday. Now, I want you to look back at your past Thanksgivings and figure out the exact moment where you lose your momentum. What is the point in your day where you're going to feel the most triggered to start drinking? Don't feel overwhelmed if your first moment happens to be the morning. I just admitted that mine was as well. Naming the moment is going to reduce its power. And it's also going to help you come up with a plan. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to tell you to just replace the drink or have some mocktails on hand as your strategy, but I will say that I was able to look at my Thanksgiving and go, okay, I'm not going to be able to have mimosas. There's nothing to replace mimosas. That's just not going to happen. I have to see the point that, okay, I don't get the mimosa buzz, but it also means I don't get the mimosa lull that comes along. You know, when you start losing the buzz and then you got to keep drinking to keep it going. I knew I wasn't going to have that. So just knowing that helped me get through that moment. I also told myself, okay, well, now I'm actually going to have coffee and it's going to give me some energy, not just energy mixed with the depressant in there. So I didn't have a drink to replace my mimosa, but I did have my coffee still, and we did still go to the donut shop. Honestly, it felt great to have the energy as we did this and the energy afterwards to enjoy our breakfast when we got home and then start cooking dinner. So name that breaking point moment and decide what it's going to look like for you this year. Number 2, I want you to pre-decide your identity before you walk into this holiday. Identity is stronger than willpower. Whoever you believe you are is who you're going to be. So, if you believe that you're going to be alcohol free and excited about it and empowered on your journey, that's who you're going to be. If you believe that you're going to be alcohol free, but questioning it all day long and feeling like, oh, I might give in, I don't know if I can do this, then you might give in because that sounds like you're going to be white knuckling your way through the day. Which identity do you want? Do you want the identity where you feel super empowered on your journey, or do you want the identity where you're going to feel wishy-washy about your journey and thinking, oh, maybe this is just a break. Maybe I could just have one glass of wine. I know for me, the moment that I went all in on my alcohol-free journey, I was all in. I told myself, I'm a non-drinker. I'm not going to subscribe anymore to what society says is normal. My normal for me is no longer going to be drinking my way through a holiday, and I knew that that's what it would be if I started drinking on a holiday. Instead, now my new normal on a holiday is to be present with my kids, to be patient, to be kind, to enjoy this moment with my family, to enjoy the food and remember it since that's the focus of this holiday, to give thanks for the wonderful things in my life. And I pre-decide that that is who I am before I walk into an alcohol-free Thanksgiving. So write it down. What is your alcohol-free identity? I want you to be very clear on it before you walk into your Thanksgiving celebration. Number 3, I want you to create a sensory anchor, not a mocktail. I want you to focus on grounding tools rather than fixating on beverage swaps. Now, obviously, I want you to think about beverage swaps. I want you to have things to consume that are non-alcoholic and make it feel fun for you. But these strategies are all about going beyond that. So have your sparkling juice that you can get from Trader Joe's, have some ginger beer, have some kombucha, maybe NA beer is your thing, maybe it's Spindrift. Have those things, please. But also have some grounding tools so when you are feeling anxious or overwhelmed, you can use these on your holiday. Some sensory anchors may be a really cozy sweater or scarf that just makes you feel comfortable. It gives you that sense of a hug, a comfort. Maybe it's a fidget ring or a smooth stone that you can have in your pocket to interrupt the spiraling thoughts that can sometimes come when we see a lot of our family. Believe me, it can be overwhelming when we see our family, and I don't want you to think that it isn't. And when you are fidgeting with it in your pocket, you can think, I'm stronger than alcohol. I am empowered on my alcohol-free journey. I'm going to get through this alcohol-free Thanksgiving, and I'm going to feel so proud of myself in the morning. Having a fidget ring or a smooth stone is a way to do this because your brain is going to think when you're touching it those empowering thoughts. Or maybe your sensory anchor can be a calming scent. You could wear an essential oil even on your wrist that you can smell from time to time. You can have a roller ball that you can bring with you when you go to a bathroom break and roll it on your wrist, or even just smell it to calm you down. Or if you're hosting at your own house, you can make sure that the scents in your own house are calming to you and make you feel good. All of these sensory anchors are going to help you reduce urges and guide you to stay calm and peaceful on your alcohol-free journey. Number 4, build a micro escape route. Now, this is not as crazy as it sounds. This is not like, I gotta have an escape plan. That's why this is a micro escape route. This is not about running away. All of these ideas are about 3-minute resets that can help you just remember that identity that you pre-decided on before you started this day. When it's all feeling like a bit too much on a holiday, here are some ideas for you. You can step outside really quick and just take a few deep breaths of air. If you need an excuse, just say, oh, I gotta go get something from my car. Nobody will really question it because they'll probably forget by the time you get back in. Most likely no one's gonna ask you, what were you getting from your car? And you could always just say something like, oh, my favorite lip gloss. Like, make up something small. It's not a big deal. You can also excuse yourself to the restroom and take a quick stretching break in the bathroom. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I am a sober baddie. I'm going to get through this alcohol-free day and I'm going to feel so amazing. I'm on this alcohol-free journey and it is important to me and I'm going to stay sober. Then do some calming stretches or do some rotational torso twists and roll your neck around, and then head back into the social gathering. One last idea is to go walk around the yard or block. I always get my family to go on some sort of walk after the dinner. If people want to come along with me, great. If no one wants to come along with me, I'm going anyway. It's just something that I have built into my alcohol-free Thanksgiving, and it really helps me remember to stay grounded on this journey. All of these are going to help regulate your dopamine levels and reduce the intensity of the cravings that you may experience on an alcohol-free holiday. Number 5, give yourself a purposeful role in the holiday. Idleness or feeling unanchored can often trigger some of those cravings to drink. Now, I'm not going to tell you to take on cooking the whole dinner unless you love to cook, okay? I think that no one should cook the whole dinner themselves on a holiday, but pick out something that makes you feel useful on this holiday, that makes you feel involved. You could take some candid photos that you're going to share with all of your family members throughout the day. You could turn yourself into the kitchen runner and be the person who sets the table and gets everything ready before dinner. Make sure you're the person who has drinks ready for kids, those kind of things. You can be the one who starts a puzzle or a board game, or be the one who says, hey, everybody, let's go on a walk after dinner. Now that I don't drink, I always step in and offer to help clean, and I never feel too tired to do any of these. One other thing that I notice now on my alcohol-free holidays is how much more energy I have throughout the day. It used to be on Thanksgiving, after we had our dinner, I was like, who's going to clean the kitchen? And it better not be me. And these days, I really don't mind if it's going to be me. I actually know that the rest of my family will end up chipping in if I get started on it. And I also know that I just have a lot more energy now that I don't drink. So find the thing that you feel comfortable with. If it's you being the dishes person, then go for it. If it's you being the person who's like, hey, let's go on a walk, let's go play a game of football outside, be that person. Just give yourself a purposeful role that has nothing to do with alcohol. I think when I was a drinker, my purposeful role was, I'm going to make drinks for everybody. I'm going to make sure everybody's drinking along with me. So I won't let a moment go by where somebody doesn't have a gin and tonic in their hand or their champagne glass isn't full. That was my purposeful role when I was a drinker. So I had to change it when I quit drinking and make sure I was doing other things. Number 6, I want you to visualize tomorrow morning before the evening happens. Thanksgiving always happens on a Thursday evening. So instead of first visualizing yourself being successful throughout the holiday, I want you to first visualize yourself waking up early on Friday morning, or whatever time you want to wake up. Maybe you're sleeping in that day, but you're waking up without a hangover. You're feeling super proud of yourself. You're not waking up thinking, what did I say last night? What dumb things did I do? Oh my gosh, do I need to call anybody and apologize? No, you're just waking up and you're feeling so good. You're waking up clear, steady, proud. You don't have to hide behind sunglasses or figure out where your Visine is to make it so your eyes aren't so red and hurting. And you're not having to cancel any plans. When I was a drinker, I stopped making plans on the Friday after Thanksgiving. I was like, I am not going to be able to do anything. Now I like to be like, hey, does anybody want to go out on a hike on the Friday after Thanksgiving? Does anybody want to come over to our house for dinner the next day since my mom hosted at her house on that day? Really lean into what your life is going to look like on the Friday after Thanksgiving. The ideas are endless and it's really all up to you, and you're going to see how enjoyable this day can really be now that you won't be nursing a hangover. Use that future vision of yourself to guide you through Thanksgiving Day. In order to get to point B, what do you have to do at point A to get there? When you realize that it's as simple as you're not going to drink alcohol so you can have this amazing day on Friday, it becomes a little bit easier. Now, those are your 6 strategies that you can use in your alcohol-free Thanksgiving, but now I want to give you a gratitude practice that is not anchored in toxic positivity, because I feel like a lot of gratitude practices that happen all Thanksgiving, I don't know about you, but they give me the ick. I get so tired of November being the month of gratefulness. And I think it's because gratitude is just something I practice every single day. It's a part of my life. And sometimes I feel like it's almost become this marketing thing in November, and people are just shoving it down our throats. Be grateful, be grateful, be grateful. I don't want your gratitude practice to feel like this, but I do want you to remember that Thanksgiving has become a day about being grateful, and some families even share what they're grateful for around the dinner table. My family's never been that family, but if yours is, I think that that's awesome. But I want you to really lean into a grounded practice that's going to make you feel fulfilled on this holiday. When we have forced gratitude, it can actually minimize the feelings and leaves us searching for things to say just because we feel like we have to. But I want you to think about practicing gratitude as a presence practice and not a pressure practice. Whenever you feel pressured to practice your gratitude, that means you're doing it wrong. Instead, I want you to sit and realize in the present moment what you're truly grateful for. So here are some prompts that you can use throughout your Thanksgiving day so you feel truly grateful about the day. The first prompt is for you to ask yourself, what is nourishing me right now? And remember, this doesn't have to be food and drinks. This can be breathing in the sense of the Thanksgiving dinner cooking. This can be belly laughs with your family, making you feel joyful again. What is nourishing you right now? The next question I want you to ask yourself is, what strength in me is showing up today that alcohol used to mask? This one's going to be so powerful, and it's going to make you feel this intense gratitude for your alcohol-free life. What strength in me is showing up today that alcohol used to mask? And the final prompt for you is, what small moment do I want to remember tomorrow? In my daily life, I go through my day thinking about what I can write down in my gratitude journal. Each day, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for right after my morning meditation. There's actually a spot in my morning meditation app, so I've just started using that. But sometimes it's really hard to fill out those 3 things. So I actually go through my day thinking, ooh, I can put this small moment into my gratitude journal tomorrow. I want you to do that on Thanksgiving. Find small moments that you know you're going to remember tomorrow because you chose not to drink, and think about those in a grateful way. This way of practicing gratitude is going to actually make it feel meaningful and not just feel like, oh, we got to go around the table and say, oh, we're grateful for health and food and family, right? You're actually going to find things that are a little bit more deep and more meaningful to you. And then that helps you start to see these little things are the big reason that I'm staying alcohol-free, so I can be truly present for these moments. I want you to remember that alcohol-free Thanksgiving is not a downgrade, and it is definitely not about deprivation. You're going to feel so much more present, and you're going to feel so much more joy, and you're also going to remember it all the next day, and that's one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself. It is a rebellious and powerful choice to choose to be alcohol-free Thanksgiving, especially when society tells us it is the way that we can get through holidays. We're going to say, F that, and we're going to do this our own way. Instead, you're going to choose to go through this holiday with presence and clarity, and you're going to feel pride in yourself. That is so much more than what society is trying to tell us we need on our holidays. You deserve a holiday that you can remember with your whole heart, and that is exactly what an alcohol-free Thanksgiving is going to give you. I hope that you are feeling empowered for your alcohol-free Thanksgiving now. Believe me, if I was able to get through my first alcohol-free Thanksgiving, I know that you can too. Apply these strategies and remember to use your grounded gratitude practice, and it's going to be an amazing day. Lastly, before I wrap up this episode, I want to remind you to leave a review if you haven't already, or comment on Spotify or YouTube with anything that connected with you in this episode. And if you've been a longtime listener and you haven't subscribed just yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on whichever platform you listen to this podcast. And don't forget that November is coming to an end, and this is your last chance to hop into the Daymakers for just $1 for 2 weeks. I hope to see you in the community, and thank you so much for listening, and I'll be in your ear in the next episode.